Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. We are knee deep in the holidays. I'm here at my dad's place, and it's Monday morning here. There's no snow in Arizona, but the snow is in my heart, and it's really, I have a pimple patch on, and I've been eating really bad, and everything is exactly as it should be. But I hope you guys are having the best holiday this week. And we have a new guest, first time guest for the show. And I'm so excited because one of my, not a secret passion, I tell you guys this all the time, is that I love Sister Wives. I love 90 Day Fiance. I love most of the TLC shows, and I just don't do a show about them. And there is a great show that I want to turn you on to that does talk about these shows and so much other things in the realm of pop culture. The podcast itself is called Little Miss Recap. It's almost been going on for 2 years, and it is hosted by the wonderful Amye Archer, who is here with us today. Welcome to the show, Amye.
Hi, Ryan. So glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. And I was just talking to you a little bit before we started is, you know, you said you're doing this full time now since you lost your job in February. Is that how most... I mean, I feel like that's kind of one of my starts too, is that I lost my job. And then, so are we potentially in 2025 going to get an even bigger influx in podcasting?
Yeah, depending on the economy, we could have a lot of new podcasts debuting in 2025.
I do think at some point in everybody's life, we're all going to have a podcast at some point. Like,
hey,
I thought my parents were going to spin off this show at some point and just do their own show. But what did you find that you, even when you had a job and doing podcasting for fun, what do you love about it?
Well, so I'm an English major and I was a teacher for a long time. And so I love having conversation around what I call the sacred text of Sister Wives. So like just watching something, and I joke that Sister Wives, but we also do like some documentaries and scripted stuff as well. Yeah. But just watching stuff and talking about it and processing it through discussion is something I've always done. Like that's what my,
Yeah, because that's how you handle teaching, right? Like I was thinking back to like college, and I had this great AP English teacher senior year, and he made me think deeper about text and how, you could really break something down and think about it a little bit deeper. And it is so interesting because you do use that lens with these shows. And sometimes the shows can handle the weight of that lens because there are deeper elements to them. And sometimes the shows are just straight up trash.
Right. And that's what we try to do, like have a nice blend of that. So like, for example, we're doing Mad Men season 1. We're doing a rewatch. One of the greatest shows ever.
Oh, Matthew Weiner's Mad. Oh my God.
Yep.
That show
we love it so
dense.
much. Oh, it's so amazing. So like I can kind of scratch the itch for my analysis there, but also then you turn into like Last Resort or Seeking Sister Wife or Sister Wives, and it's just total fun, total trash. But it also. So one of my theories about why. So let's talk about Last Resort for 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, so just for the audience clarification, I am watching Before the 90 Days right now, which is 2 hours on Sunday nights. I'm also watching Sister Wives. I am not yet watching this season of The Last Resort. What is The Last Resort, Amye? Explain it to the audience.
Okay, so The Last Resort, and the reason I'm pivoting to this is The Last Resort is the closest thing I can think of that resembles sort of the genre or the style of a housewife show, because we know these people so long. We know what makes them tick. We've seen them on our screen for 10 years. Now
because they're all characters from all the different 90-day variations.
They take some of the infamous and lovable and not so lovable couples. Some aren't even couples, I would argue. And they take them to a resort and they're forced to like do quote unquote therapy, which they do have real therapists, but they don't really like put them through the paces.
Yeah. So, if they had real therapy, they would not be on the show. That's always something I hold true to.
So like kind of like Housewives, where you're seeing these characters, I say characters loosely, these people that you've come to love interact with each other. That's what we're getting on Last Resort. That's why it's so good. Whereas traditional 90 Day kind of happens in a vacuum, right? Like everybody has their own storyline and it's kind of siloed out. Last Resort, you're getting them all together. So you're getting like Natalie fighting with Jasmine and Florian commenting on it and Stacey's there. It's fantastic. This season is giving.
So Stacey from Darcy and Stacey are... I always used to call them Darcy and Starcy because I just couldn't. It was like too hard for me to go to Stacey.
Stars, yeah.
but like it is, so they're taking all of like the greatest hits of these characters, mashing them up together. Now, I watched the first season of Last Resort, which I think had Big Ed.
It was so good.
It had Angela. And by the way, my friend Matt and his wife, they texted me a couple weeks ago, and they were like, "Hey, you watched that 90-day Last Resort, do you?" And I was like, yeah, I've seen it. She goes, "We're at the resort where they filmed that." And she's like,
in the Keys?
Yeah, she's like, the waitress keeps talking about it. And then she's like, the waitress showed him a picture, and he sent me the picture of the waitress and Big Ed. And I was like, that's Big Ed. That is definitely Big Ed.
Oh, boy. Don't need to see him on my screen again. But season 1 was fantastic. It was really good. And season 2 is Florian is the star of this season. There's not enough Florian.
is with Stacy, correct?
Stacy's husband, yes.
And why is Florian a star?
Because he's just so apathetic to everything. He's like, oh, screw you guys. Like, he doesn't understand anything. He could care less about anything. And he just is the comedic relief that we all need. And they're going to bring Darcy in for therapy as well. Perfect. So she's going to be making a cameo, and I'm very excited.
And these are group therapy sessions?
Yeah, most of them are. Yeah.
Well, and I would argue that, does any of these people in the Last Resort, is there real, we know this is potentially not real therapy in the sense that we know it, but do anybody, are there positive outcomes to, like, is this leading up to some kind of positive outcome for any of these couples?
So I will say that in season 1, I felt like Kalani and Asuelu were kind of the heart of the season. Like, we saw them essentially go, and many people do this, they go to therapy to break up, right? To go through that process together.
Or they go on a housewife show.
Right. Or they go on a housewife show. Or, they're Cody Brown and they do it on a patio for 3 years. I don't know.
You don't understand. These women are against me. I had a sacred bond. Yeah.
So I think that this season, two people, Ari and Binny, are there. Ariella and Binyam. They were a couple of years ago.
The MMA fighter.
Yes. And the butt bongos that he was playing in the club when she met him. They're not together, but they have a child together. And I feel like this season we're going to see them learn to co-parent maybe. So that might be the real storyline of it all. Like, we know a lot of these couples are either done or they have
because Jasmine and Gino, and by the way, Gino is the one that always wears like a fedora, and he has potentially a weird shaped head, which we've seen. I didn't think it was that bad, but regardless, they're not together anymore, Jasmine and Gino. Is that correct?
Well, they're faking that they are for the show, but I've heard that it's kind of like a business arrangement. So
a business. All marriage is a business arrangement, I guess. But
isn't it
frustrating?
On some level?
See, that's what I hate, though. Like, I hate when you're watching these people try to act out scenes, because that's when you're like, because I think the audience is so savvy nowadays where we feel when something's real and we feel when something's like starting to be really forced and fake. And that's where the shows sometimes will lose me when you're like, oh, come on, this is like completely acting right now.
No, you have to make the decision to go in and suspend disbelief and just say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to watch it.
You have to go against your better judgment.
Yeah, you have to just accept what is on the screen. Like, so for example, Natalie and Josh are there. We know they're not together. We know that. But I'm just going to pretend they are because I'm watching what the screen is. I'm treating it like the sacred text that it is. And I'm just going to go with what I have.
Well, see, I love you keep saying sacred text because to me, no. To me, Sister Wives is sacred text because there are so many levels, and you realize this is such a real thing about this man that had a polygamous relationship with 4 separate women, and we have watched how many seasons is Sister Wives?
We're in season 19.
Season 19, and the storyline from where they started to where they are now is so vastly different. And now you are seeing these women that have gotten the courage and strength to leave Cody Brown, starting their own lives. And like right out of the gate, their lives are better. Like right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah. Immediately. And they've all had a glow up. They just look amazing.
Oh my God, Mary. I was like, is Mary like hot? Like, is Mary getting to a hot place?
Oh God.
Sorry. It's so lonely. It's so lonely. No, I really do think it is wild to watch this glow up. And then it's also interesting to and I'm a part of this, to see the fragile male ego of Cody
Mm-hmm.
Brown. Cody
Mm-hmm.
Brown has one of the, I mean, it is as fragile and tenuous as the hair on his head, which is
Yes,
constantly
absolutely.
falling off over the season. What do
Yeah.
you love about Sister Wives, and what do you hate about Sister Wives?
I think what I love about Sister Wives is sort of what I was talking about with these 90-day characters is I have been a watcher since the beginning. So I used to love anything on TLC. I'd like watch the birth stories, like anything. And I started watching this, and I also watched Big Love. I don't know if you watched that, but I was
Oh,
always
of
kind of
course,
interested.
every episode of Big Love.
Yes, I was always interested in polygamy just from the interpersonal dynamics, human dynamics, social scientist lens, right? And this has been a long story of the death of Cody Brown's ego and the liberation of the women that once fed it. And that's where we are now. And it's been lovely to watch. And there were some seasons that were kind of clunkers in the
Oh,
middle.
yeah. Guys, by the way, when I talk about Sister Wives, I always try to say, you're going to be in the woods for a while where you're like, this is not good, but if you put the time in, it leads to
Yes.
something really glorious, which we are in right now. And the
Yeah.
sad thing about Sister Wives, obviously, is that they've filmed these things. You know, what we're watching currently, which unfortunately this week we did not have a new episode, they
Mhm.
filmed these things over a year ago. And since then, there
Yeah.
has been a death of one of the children. And I'm
Mhm.
so scared to see when that's, whatever season that comes up in, because I don't know how, do you know
So
when?
supposedly we're going to get to it this season. So I think
Oh,
this is a
really?
long season. I'm hearing they might be breaking it, but that's not confirmed, so we don't really know yet. But I think from what Christine, Mary, and Janelle have said in interviews that we are going to catch up to current time, which would include Garrison's passing, which happened in the spring. I'm terrified as to
I
how they
am
are going to handle
too.
this. Mhm.
So guys, the if you're not caught up on Sister Wives, there were four wives: Christine, Mary, Janelle, and then he is still with Sobbin' Robin. We call her Sobbin' Robin because Robin always cries. She has very intense Groucho Marx eyebrows,
Mhm.
and she is always like, I had a dream of being on a porch with my sister wives for the rest of my life, and my dreams are ruined. All the while they're living in like a $2.1 million mansion
That overlooks everybody else. It's like Gargamel's castle up there on the hill.
And Amy, like, I swear to God, my girlfriend was like, we're in Gilbert, Arizona, and she's like, how long does it take to drive to Flagstaff? Like, because one of our dreams is to go out to Coyote Pass, where
Yes.
Cody bought all of this land for all of the women to have separate houses on. And since he bought this, all of the women are like leaving him, and so this land is out there. But I kind of want to work the land. I want to see what it's all about. But I'm afraid that Cody might shoot me on Coyote Pass.
It's a pilgrimage I want to make as well. And I also want to go to the cul-de-sac in Vegas, which a couple episodes ago. So we had an episode this season where Cody and his brothers, his bros, went to the gate and couldn't get in. They just, stood there and talked about what a lovely wife Robin was. And then on the last episode, Mary and her girl squad went and also couldn't get in. So I'm like, I want to go. And maybe I'll run into like Janelle or somebody. I don't. Although Janelle in the confessional, they switched to her and she goes, "Yeah, I have no interest in going to Las Vegas."
Well, you mentioned the HBO show Big Love, which was led by the late Bill Paxton, and it was really, I thought, like, that was such a great show. So many good little storylines in that. But back in like when Big Love was on, that was like the height of polygamy. Where I wonder, like, if like Cody was like, "Dude, we are badass. Like, this is awesome. Like, we are killing it. We look so cool. HBO's great representation." And now look at it, where you're like, "Are you telling me polygamy doesn't work, Cody Brown?" Where do you think Cody's ego is right now? Because you said the destruction of Cody's ego, but I would make an argument that his ego is stronger than ever.
Okay, so I don't know how much you've watched this season, but there's a very pivotal episode where Cody moves Mary to Parowan, to her B&B, and he breaks down sobbing.
But did you believe that, Amy? Because I thought that was acting.
So a lot of people thought it was acting. Now, my co-host Amanda and I were like, we think this is real, but we don't think he's crying over Mary. We think he's crying because he is so butthurt and realizes this is the end of things. And I feel like his ego is still, it's pretty strong, but I think it's all tied to Robin. Like if Robin were ever to leave him, that's what we're all waiting for. We are all
Oh.
glued to our televisions waiting for it. Not that we want better for her because she's a problem too, but we just want to see them break.
Last week's episode when he took her to the only restaurant that they allow filming at,
in
and he
the
was
attic.
like, he's like, all the guys want you, Robin. Like, if you ever left me, and he was like trying to be sexy, and I was like, I've lost my appetite completely. I don't know how they were
present
eating.
tense. All the guys want Robin.
And Robin was like, all like, kind of like, woo. I guess they do, don't they?
Yeah, it's.
But then on the other hand, you have the wonderful Christine who has, found love again, right?
Yes.
Wait,
yes.
why'd you wait? I said the wonderful Christine.
Okay,
You do not like
slightly
Christine?
annoying, but I'm happy for her. I'm
Okay, but
very
it's-
happy for her.
I know
Very
what you're
happy
saying.
for her.
Do you mean it's like because it's like she's acting like a schoolgirl crush?
I mean, Christine not only, was raised in a cult and married Cody very young, but she also raised children for 20 years. So she's essentially 17 years old. And that's what she's coming at this with. So that energy is a lot, but I'm very happy for her. I just wish like we didn't know the ending of this and we
That they
didn't have
got
to
married.
watch. Yeah, like I want to see.
And they're Disney adults.
They're absolute Disney adults. Yes.
Well, I mean, it is interesting. Like we'll watch it every week, and she's horny as hell. Like Christine is it's like she has never been touched before. It's making her kids nervous. It's making me nervous. But at the same time, you kind of love that for her because she was in kind of a loveless, potentially sexless marriage with Cody.
She really was. And the part where I struggle with Christine is when she's telling the audience, like, I don't give a shit if my kids aren't good with this. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I want
Yes.
to do. It's like, and we know Christine. We know she's not that kind of a mother. We know she's a really good mom, thoughtful of her children. So, like, I think this is just part of that energy wrapped up.
Yeah.
But it's not a good look.
No, it is. It's an interesting look. And David, her new guy, he's just always like, yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Like, great.
I like David.
Oh,
but
I do too.
I also think that she got lucky. Like she got lucky that he
Out of
wasn't
the
some
gate
kind of
almost.
weirdo. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was so great this season when Cody had to meet David at that event. And they had to shake hands, and Cody was like, "What's up? Bring it in here, man. Brother's got a hug. Brother's got a hug."
God.
It was so weird and cringy. Where do you predict Sister Wives going in the future? Because it's not going off TLC screens anytime soon.
No. Let me just say too about Cody. So around, I want to say maybe season 14 or 15. No, I think we were covering it. So maybe season 16. Cody made some seemingly innocuous comment about looking around on the internet to find support for a man going through a divorce. And Amanda and I theorized that is when he was introduced to 4chan and the manosphere. So I think that is what is happening to him.
For the audience that doesn't know what 4chan is, 4chan is like a message board / really dark web, dark internet thing that like, QAnon kind of sprung from.
A lot of incel, misogyny, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Which, by the way, we were just talking about this last week on the show, is that reminding the audience there is a contingent of people that is truly hoping to strip the rights away from, but it's truly hoping to strip the rights away from women, and that women should just be, providing a home for the man and trying to go back to a certain kind of 1940s era, a bygone era.
Yep.
But there's a big contingent of people that are really still pushing this. And sadly, it really spreads on the internet, and you see it in people like Cody.
And I would argue that is not the Cody Brown we met in 2010.
Oh, that's great.
I think he was very different. And I think that a lot of this ego death that he's been suffering and the connection to, because I really do believe he was looking around on the internet and stumbled into this world.
What is this?
And now he's like, oh my God, a place where I belong so easily. My people.
They love my tendrils of hair. They think I've got a big bushy thing of hair. No, well, I mean, You nailed it. And by the way, Cody also he sells guns. He goes to gun conventions.
Yep.
Sells guns, which that doesn't really get talked about a lot at all on the show.
They don't talk about it at all
at
on
all.
the show. Mm-mm.
Well, and then I was just wondering too with Garrison, like you just wonder. I was. This is such a dark thought, but I was like, is this a gun that Cody had gifted? Is this a like?
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't know.
those were the thoughts going through my head, unfortunately. But
Yep.
Cody, you talk about ego death, but like that's what's interesting about those things like 4chan is that it prevents you from having the ego death because it is constantly inflating the ego up, saying,
so now we got the ego on life
you
support.
Are right. Yeah, like no, dude. So even that scene where we were talking about him crying is that I almost felt like he was afterwards when he was talking about it with his bro, because his guy's there with him and he's like,
Nathan,
you really pussied out in there, buddy.
Yes,
and he
pretty
was like,
much. Yep.
It's so weird. Even that, like,
So
and then
weird.
They hop into Cody's like expensive Lexus while none of the ladies can afford anything.
Right. Janelle's living in student housing and he's like driving around a Lexus.
Yeah. He's like, but I almost think in retrospect, he will think that was a gift given to Mary that you got to see me, Cody Brown, cry about this relationship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he has a quote unquote decent relationship with Mary now so this leads into back to your question about where we see the future. So one of the pieces I struggle with this show is what is going to happen with Mary, because she and Cody supposedly end on good terms, but I don't think they're on good terms today. So Mary has no relationship with Cody. She has no relationship with Christine, no relationship with Janelle, and no relationship with most of the kids. I don't even think she has a relationship with Leon, her own child. So where does this leave us? Like, do we just see her driving around town with just Jen or working at the B&B? I don't know what storyline. Like, I think Christine and Janelle could have a storyline because we're seeing
definitely.
How do you deconstruct this family and maintain these relationships that were built? But Mary's not really a part of that.
I like that Janelle said if she got married again, she thinks it would be like on a rock somewhere with jeans on. I was like, hell
Janelle
yeah.
wants to be in an episode of Yellowstone. That's it.
I think everybody does at this point, unfortunately. I got to meet Christine last year at some event, and I was starstruck. I was, oh my God.
I would have been too, yeah.
Oh, she was so beyond nice. We joked about Cody. We joked about and she had such good humor. Have you had any interactions with anybody on Sister Wives?
No, not really. They don't want to listen to my show, I'm sure.
I would hope, but see, I think that's great. I want to feel free to say whatever we want to say, right?
Me too.
I always tell housewives don't listen, and then they listen, and I get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't listen.
Yeah. No, we haven't. I am representing Janelle today with my Teflon Queen shirt.
Wait, do you sell these shirts?
No, these are from her website, Janelle Says, which she started when she started Tata Farms. So Janelle's my favorite. She's my queen, and I try to get her to talk to me all the time. I just love, very much like Florian, how she just doesn't give a shit about anybody or what anybody says. Like, she's just doing her own thing. She's
she's a caring person. She's a caring person.
Yeah, but she doesn't get caught up in the drama, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, she's a good mom. She loves her kid. She loves Christine. She's been really, a champion for Christine in getting out of this. I think that was too when Christine, if you haven't watched, Christine is the first wife to leave. And Christine leaving was a really interesting season because Janelle was really the only one who supported her through that. Cody, of course, didn't support her. Mary didn't support her. She sided with Robin. They didn't support her. So it was really brave of Christine to do what she did and to be the first one. So Janelle, I just think she's like a ride or die. You want her in your life. She's amazing. She doesn't need a lot. She's very low maintenance. I like her.
Yeah. No, I love her. I mean, and just for the audience, it doesn't. Mary, she has a little Airbnb or a B&B that she created, and she just finished her little how do you say it? Prêt-à-porter or what is the French word?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways, she has all her, she also does MLM, so you can see all her,
Yes, and she does Worthy Up. Do not forget about Worthy Up, of which I'm a member.
And we found out this season, she's also fixated on Stonehenge, and she got to see Stonehenge, and it was a religious experience for her because
I actually loved that scene.
Oh, I did too. I thought it was
I thought that was great.
I thought it was so specific. Like, we all
Yes.
love something so specific.
Yes.
And she's like, I watched a documentary when I was younger,
Mhm,
and now here I am. And we all have those moments, whatever background, where you got to see something as a kid and you can't believe you're in front of it as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it was like the first time I got to be around the Hollywood sign. Like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it actually existed.
Yeah, I was 40 years old when I saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time. I had dreamed of seeing it my whole life and it couldn't for financial reasons or whatever. When I saw the Pacific Ocean, I was like such a nerd. I was just dorking out completely, crying, and everybody's like, what is this weirdo doing? But I get it. Like, that really resonated with me. I was like, okay, we're seeing a human moment from Mary. Because if you don't watch the show, like Mary, she comes off very guarded all the time. She's somebody who just guards her emotions. And just to see her like crying and having a real moment, I was like, okay, Mary, we see you, girl. Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. I'm liking her more this season than I've ever liked her. And also, just to let the audience know, Mary is not without fault. There was back in the day. Yeah. So the reason why Cody and her really started becoming at loggerheads is that she was catfished online by somebody. Can you explain what Mary went through and how Cody took this?
So Mary met someone named Samuel Jacob Cooper online, and she had full on conversation, sexy texts, all of this. This person ended up being another person. I'm not going to even give them credit to say their name, but they ended up being a different person. And Mary was catfished essentially. And this person like went and wrote a book and exposed all the texts and everything that Mary wrote. Like, it was really bad.
The actual sacred texts.
Yeah, the actual sacred texts. Yes. And it was really bad. And even before that, though, another reason that Mary is not beloved is because a lot of the kids have come forward and said that she was like, I don't know if they said physically abusive, but she was definitely very hard on some of those children. And they don't talk to her. A lot of them don't talk to her.
Yeah, it's interesting because they have such a large swath of kids that have happened over this plural marriage or polygamous family. And it is interesting, the kids that do and don't talk with each other, because they'll always cut back to a family photo of them all out like in the desert somewhere with like 80 kids and Cody. And it really is this kind of Greek tragedy of where it is now. It is such it's like for every kid that doesn't talk to Cody anymore, one of the tendrils of hair falls off his head and he leaves it behind. I know this is the least interesting thing about the show, but I am so fixated on Cody's hair because he has a hair system.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And we learn in earlier seasons that Robin is the one who taught him the curly girl method. So she is responsible for the curls. Yes.
He had straighter hair, and then Robin taught him to curl. And then in a recent episode, he came in wearing a hairnet around his brothers and had to explain that you have to keep the curls in. Yes. And at this point, though, if you hit the wrong angle on Cody, you're going to get blinded because it just shines off his bald head.
There's a hair island happening in the middle. Yeah, it's bad.
Escape from Cody's Hair Island is a great spinoff. Do you think, because Cody's for whatever I think about Cody, I think he's a good-looking man. Do you think he'll ever, I'm big enough where I can think he's not horrible looking.
I'm just terrified that my audience will all turn against me if I say he's good looking. So I'm just going to go, okay, Ryan.
Okay, wait. So I don't want to hey guys, I don't want to upset anybody. It's Christmas, it's holidays. I don't want to upset anybody out there. But what I'm trying to encourage is that, do you ever think he'd be like, let's go the bald route now, because I feel like that could be more successful than what he's doing now.
I agree. I don't think Cody is a hideous looking person. I really don't. It's what's on the inside that makes him hideous, not necessarily on the outside.
Exactly.
Yes. So do I think he can do like a short? Yeah, I think he could. I mean, we see pictures of him when he was young and he had short hair and he was good looking. I think he could pull it off, but he's gonna have to go bald.
I mean, Jeff Bezos.
He's going to have to go cue ball. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's
I think he could do it.
What do you remember? You said you used to watch TLC all the time. You'd watch everything. Do you remember what's the first reality show? It doesn't have to be TLC. What's the first reality show? Like, what age were you when you started? Like, for me, it was The Real World. That was the first season of The Real World.
Are you a Gen Xer?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was born in 77. So The Real World was my
It was
first
groundbreaking.
foray.
I'd never seen something like that as a kid.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting the peek behind a curtain. I was, these people were older than me. I thought this is what a big city life is like. I was fixated on that. And then how did it go for you in terms of like maneuvering from what reality show to what reality show?
Well, so I'll be honest, like I was not always a huge reality show fan. I watched Sister Wives, but then, I have twin daughters. I had them in 2006, so I was busy. And then I started, so just a quick trigger warning for everybody out there. I'm going to talk about gun violence for a minute. So in 2018, I started working on a book with survivors of school shooting. So I interviewed like 100 of them and we put together a collection.
What's the book called?
It's called If I Don't Make It, I Love You. And so I was working with like parents from Parkland and parents from Sandy Hook. And so it was so heavy that I would come home at night and I'm like, I just need something just that I don't have to think too hard about. So that's how I got started on 90 Day. I picked up 90 Day in season 6, loved it so much, started rewatching from the beginning. And then that's how I kind of got back into all of these reality shows.
But that's kind of, it's beautiful in its own way, is that it shows why we kind of consume the things that we consume and how it really does help us disassociate in a positive way. But, it's like, I always say, it's overused, the phrase of protect your peace and stuff. But like, when my mom passed away a year and some months ago, and I had so many recommendations for this Anderson Cooper podcast on grief.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
But Amy, when I was talking about this to Rebecca the other day, I said, I just can't. I'm not ready for that yet. Like
You're not in that space.
I know it's going to be beautiful. I've seen little clips, but if I put myself there, I'm actively harming myself, even though it would help. Yeah, but it will help eventually someday. But until then, it's like. Even like with Vanderpump Rules, which I cover a lot, I had to stop on the Patreon for a minute recapping because the James Kennedy stuff and it was like too much where I was like, I'm getting just bad feelings when I watch this. Yeah. You've got to, because then there's shows that give you great feelings. You're excited to watch it and you're like, I look forward to it. And then you look forward to like a show like yours where like, I can't wait to hear what Amy and Shannon say about it, Wait, who's your co-host again?
Amanda.
I said Shannon. Sorry, Amanda.
That's okay. This is why I'm a writer, but I write memoir and I write true story. And that's why I love reality TV because it's true stories. So
Do you read a lot?
Yeah, I read quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. What are you reading right now?
Right now I just bought, so do you know who Aubrey Gordon is from Maintenance Phase? So she wrote a memoir, What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat People. I forget the name, I'm butchering it, but it's something like that. And so I just bought that. I'm going to read that over the holidays.
And I see that you have a bookshelf behind you. What do you, I know this is a little off topic, but what's on your bookshelf? I love hearing other people's books.
Okay. So I have, this is one of my favorites. Kitchen Confidential. Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. He's one of my favorite writers of all time. R.I.P.
So good. So
amazing. I have a lot of memoir. If anybody is thinking about being a writer or writing student or whatever, On Writing by Stephen King is one of the best craft books ever because it's so part beautiful. Craft book, part memoir.
I'm so insecure about my own writing, but that book is so good. And Stephen King is just a national treasure. He's all the amazing. Way around. Were there any good memoirs that you enjoyed? I loved the Barbara Streisand memoir from this year. Was there any good ones that stood out to you this year?
I didn't read any current from this year, but Maggie Smith, the poet, just had one. I forget the name of it. Oh, I hate that I forget the name of it. But Maggie Smith, if you Google her, she just had a memoir out late last year that I read that was absolutely beautiful. But the memoirs I like are weird. Like I have this little niche where I like poets who write memoirs. So
wow, that is a niche. That is a very. Would you ever write a book on reality television? Would you ever write a book on Sister Wives or 90 Day Fiance?
Oh gosh, maybe. I would think about it, but I would do it through a series of essays where you looked at how they intersect with our real lives, like the story I just told you about the gun violence stuff. Like how does reality TV intersect with our real lives? Like it would be a series of essays like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, after Mom passed, I was toying around with the idea of like what Bravo taught me.
Yes,
like
that'd be great. Yes.
because there were like certain elements of like it taught me this, or even just using examples of what it taught me not to, but also how it taught me how to process grief. But also, if somebody said from 90 Day Fiance said, Amy, I want to write a memoir. Would you ghostwrite it for me? Who would be the one person you would consider on 90 Day Fiance writing a memoir for?
Darcy Silva.
Yeah. And what
Just
about
because
Darcy?
I think it would be amazing. I mean, Stacy just let slip a few episodes ago that they went on a hike when they were teenagers and got lost in the woods, and Papa Silva had to like call the police to get them out.
For
like
a
this
year.
Great stuff like this. Yes.
Well, there was back when I started this like 5 years ago, there was a 90 Day Fiance event in Los Angeles, and Danny Pellegrino couldn't go. So he had me go in his place. And like there was cast members, and Darcy was one of the cast members. And this is like 5 p.m.
She's great.
On 5 p.m. on a Wednesday, right? I'm nervous to go there. I'm really excited. And Danny had like ask her like what her favorite Mariah Carey song is or whatever. And Darcy was hammered. Like hammered, and the TLC reps were like, she's like, what's going on with you? I mean, it was 5 p.m. The sun was setting and she was hammered. And I just thought, these poor TLC reps, what they have to go through. I saw Big Ed for the first time a couple weeks ago at some reality show awards. And the poor TLC handler, and I forget, like, because I tapped out of like Big Ed at a certain point. He's a very controversial person in the 90 Day universe and toxic. Why do I posted a picture with him because I was like, Big Ed, LOL, and people were like, this is disgusting.
He's gross. Yeah, he's gross.
Why do people consider him so gross and toxic now?
So there was the whole sex tourism thing with Rose.
And that's how we first met him on 90 Day Fiance.
So aside from being your, run-of-the-mill sex tourist that we see sometimes on the show, he also, when he was involved with Liz, they had a breakup, and she released some of their voicemails, and he was a monster to her. The way he was talking to her, calling her names, calling her disgusting things. Yeah. And people are like, okay, we're done with you.
So Big Ed was calling disgusting names to somebody else being the way he... Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't think he talks nicely to women off camera.
See, he gave me a Big Ed sticker when I met him. He's like, here's a sticker. I was like,
of course he did. Yeah, when he first came on the screen, we all thought he was this cute little lovable guy. And
well, same thing with Angela. We really liked Angela at first too. Where are you at on Angela right now? Because Angela and Michael, that she brought over to the U.S. finally.
There
was this Michael. There was a cute. That's pretty good, actually. You got to get we got to get you on TikTok.
Mary Payne does it the best. Mary Payne does it the best.
But I mean, Angela gets Michael over here, and then there's like this big thing where the police are involved, and Michael escapes from Angela.
He got his freedom. We were all watching with bated breath. Like, Michael, no one has worked harder for a green card than Michael. He deserves it. He put the time in. He really did.
Where are we at with that now, though? Is he still in America?
Yeah, he's still here, but at an undisclosed location.
he's in a bunker somewhere. He's got to America finally, and he has to hide for the rest of. And Angela, I heard a rumor that Angela would not be on the any more 90 Day Fiance shows down the line. Have you heard that, or is that true?
I have not heard that, but I hope it's true. We haven't seen her filming or anything. There's no rumors of her film. Hopefully that has run its course. If they put her on Single Life, oh my God.
Oh God. Well, see, this is what I don't like, and I don't like it with housewives as well. Once they become stars, they start doing an imitation of themselves, or it gives them license to be worse and worse because they think that's what the cameras want.
Yes. Yeah. Angela's a character of herself. Absolutely.
So 90 Day Fiance the other way, just to explain to the audience, this is before the green card 90-day process that it takes to get the green card to come over to America starts.
That's before the 90 days. So the other way is when they're marrying somebody over in another country. Before the 90 days is when we usually see them going to propose, and then they come to. So for example, there's some people on before the 90 day this season that we think we're going to see on what we call OG. which is 90 Day Fiance, like Shekinah and Sarper, which I listened to your interview with Shekinah.
Was it okay?
Yeah, you know what? I am a huge Sarper fan. I'm not attracted to him. I don't like him like that, but I think he's hilarious.
This is Cody Brown vibes I'm getting from you
I
right
think
now.
he's hilarious. I think he's putting on an act. But when Shekinah was talking about like how well educated he was, I was like, really? Sarper, this guy? But I could see that a little bit.
I DM'd with Shekinah a couple weeks ago because it was after like one of the reunions and they were just eating a stick of butter because of their diet. And I was like,
they're doing the new diet. Yeah.
I said, is this true? And she's like, yeah, it's delicious. And I was like, oh, okay. Like just a stick of butter.
True. It can't be real.
She's like, no, it's delicious. And that's the thing with these 90 Day people. Like, it could go either way. They could be putting on an Andy Kaufman style performance art act, or it's completely true. So I think I'm going to meet up with like Sarper and Shekinah in the new year somewhere.
Oh my God, you need to report back because I'm telling you, I think Sarper is really smart and pretty funny and pulling the Andy Kaufman. I really think so.
Can you imagine if he's like, this is what you've got to do, Ryan. You're a fucking idiot when it comes to this and this and this. You've got to believe in yourself more. You've got to do this. Like he could be a good life coach.
Maybe he'll design your nose. Who knows?
Yeah. This is what you've got the fat, the fat muffin top body. You've got to get the
he
love
would
handles.
Hate me. He would have to do a lot of work.
Out of control on the legs. You've got those two big ham hocks of legs.
Yes.
Okay, so 90 Day Fiance, what's on Sunday nights is before the 90 days, right? Okay,
yeah, and then Last Resort's on Monday.
I know you just released a podcast, which I want to remind people, Little Miss Recap is the podcast. If anybody comes on this show, what we like to suggest people do is go subscribe to the podcast. You rate it 5 stars right out of the gate because they took the time to be on this show. So consider it just like this nice thing that you do for another podcaster to help get the word out, right? And if you don't like a show, and I think you're going to love this show, but if you don't like a show, just keep it moving. Like I always try to remind people, there is a show that is going to fit you like a glove and you can find that and give it all the stars you want, but never try to like yuck somebody's yum when they're trying to work hard. So before the 90 days, what I wanted to really talk about, you just did an episode that you released today, I believe, about last night's episode. And I've got to talk to you about this guy, Lauren. Can you explain Lauren to the audience and what his storyline has been?
So Lauren is a guy who we meet living in Vegas, and we learn off screen that he has a bunch of kids that he's trying to skirt around paying child support for. And he is going to meet with Faith in the Philippines. And Faith is a lady boy. So that is the terminology they use there for a trans
woman. Yeah.
Yes. So he's gross in that he fetishizes trans women to begin with. And second of all, he has lied to her from day one. He's banging his way all around Vegas, and she thinks they're in a committed relationship. And then he gets over there. He's told her that he wants to bring her to America. He gets over there. He's like, oh, okay, couple things. Number 1, I have gonorrhea. Number 2, you're not coming to America. I'm staying here. And number 3, I've been banging around.
The way Amy's saying this, it sounds so aggressive. He says this like it's a goofy, like, oh, I love it.
He has a smirk on his face
so
the
goofy.
entire time. He's one of these guys that masquerades as a nice guy. You know, he's got the smirk on the whole time, but he's a sociopath.
I would say not even masquerades as a nice guy. Masquerades as like a Forrest Gump type creature.
Yes, absolutely. Like, oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And so Faith, this last episode, last night, did you watch it? It was crazy.
Yeah.
Because she's been kind of like forgiving him. He's been slow rolling his master plan the entire time, and she's been forgiving him incrementally. And then finally last night, they get over all the humps. He proposes. She says yes. They get into this hotel room, and something comes over her. Like this inner voice has just been screaming, right? That something's wrong. And she sees him like kind of maniacally playing around with a butter knife, and she's like, I'm out. She throws his ring at him and she takes off, and they get her in the hallway. She's shaking and she's like, something just didn't feel right. And of course there's that added layer of being a trans person in a country that doesn't accept you. So there's inherent danger in that. And then to have this guy she just was really freaked out. And we hope and we pray that this is she's done with him, but we'll see.
Well, when that happened, I just always like imagine how hard it is for the TLC documentary crew to be like, yeah, girl, run. Like they can't like, it's like, yeah, man, you got the right vibe. Get out of here. This guy's so creepy. And then what I was poking around the old interwebs, and this guy had done a podcast a couple weeks before he left to go film, or like a couple days before he left to go film, where he said, listen, I just got to go out there and act crazy. And the crazier I get, the more money I'll get. And, you know, if I don't like this person, I'll marry another one. Preferably, I'd like to marry a real woman and then just mess around with ladyboys. And if not, I've got 2 options to marry these 2 other people in Vegas.
Yeah. And the grossest thing about that interview, I mean, aside from the whole grossness of it, is he said something like, I think his terminology was a regular woman or a normal woman or something like that, which is disgusting language. And yeah, he just wants to bang his way through the Philippines with every ladyboy. And I mean, he offered to marry Faith's mother.
He was like, what if I marry your mother? And that way that could work. And he's saying this so innocently. That's why I think what's really creepy about the guy, on top of all of his actions, is just the way he presents himself. Because if you just hear us explain it, you'd be like, oh, this is just a douchey, like average, like douchey dude. No, this guy, like it's different. It's like there's a sociopathy about it, but not like Jax Taylor, like a different kind of sociopathy where I'm like, oh, you got to watch this guy. And then when he came there, he was like, oh yeah, I have something wrong with my penis. Something is exploding on it. And he then goes,
he was real graphic. He was like, I have gunk and pus coming out of my penis.
But he says it so innocently, like, oh, we all get gunk and stuff on our penis.
This happens to everybody.
Yeah, like you don't have to freak out about it. And he was like, well, what? Then he explained, and he was like doing something. I think the person he was with had throat gonorrhea or something. It was so gross that I wanted to bring it up here again. Who else are you?
And it was, let me just put a bow on him. And he does this whole thing. Like, he's a good example of somebody who doesn't know how to act, because we know this is all an act and he doesn't know how to act. That's what the smirk is about. And that's what the weirdness is about. Like, he's trying to do something here and he doesn't know how to do it. And it's gross. Anyway.
But also, I mean, just the stupidity of also then going on a podcast before you go film this and just say everything that you're thinking. I mean, like, I just don't know how these casting people do it. It's got to feel like it's potentially one of the worst jobs you have to have is to work in a TLC casting office. No offense.
It really is. And, you know, it's just a larger conversation, right? Of how social media and influencers we're seeing that influence, no pun intended, on these shows. Like, look at Love is Blind. People are going on Love is Blind to become influencers.
If anybody out there is watching 90 Day Fiance and thinks this is aspirational, stop listening to my show. Don't listen to Little Miss Recap. Don't listen to this. You've got to go into not 90 Day Fiance, the last resort therapy. You got to go into some real therapy, because
actual therapy.
This is real. This makes me question humanity every week. I would rather just be on Dr. Pimple Popper, which is also its own level of weird casting. Who else do you love on 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days?
So we love Niles and Matilda. We think they're great.
Who are Niles and Matilda?
So Niles and Matilda are in Ghana. He's from Alabama, and he is autistic, I believe. He has ASD. And he is currently in a situation. He's currently in a situation where he had to get a proxy father. So Mr. Ark was introduced to us. And Mr. Ark, I mean, let's just say this man's missing a hand, and I think he lost it in a knife fight. That's how much I think of this man. He is amazing. And so we're seeing that. And Niles is like, oh, I didn't realize the bride price was $400. I only have $100. You know, typical 90-day issues.
And she's pissed.
Oh, she's real pissed. We also have Tiger, Lily, and Adnan, who are... Okay, so Sarper has a son that he had 25 years ago that he's missing.
You think this is his son?
Adnan. Yep. He is Sarper Jr. If you watch him, he's Sarper Jr.
Yeah, so he's married to this Tiger Lily from the States. She had a previous marriage that she's like well off from, even though I think he's well off as well. But he's one of those guys, tells her what to wear, tells her what she can't wear, tells her this, tells her that.
And not a Google search to be had before she went there to figure out what was going to happen. Nope.
Well, that's the wild thing about these shows, Amy, is that a lot of this could be solved with a quick Google. There's another couple that like the guy's like, well, you need to become Muslim. She's like, we never talked about this. How do
Sunny
you
and
not
Bea,
talk about one of the
Yep.
biggest things, the religion conversation? Like this show should be called 90 Day. We didn't have the conversation. And that's what you're watching.
Well, and then in a situation like with Sunny and Bea, Sunny purposely withheld that information from her that he wanted her to convert until he got to know her. And I would argue, no, you just wanted her to get in deep enough that she couldn't say no because now she's in love with you. So it's really manipulative.
But also, this is the girl that brought her ex-boyfriend with her and he got livid because he didn't know that the ex-boyfriend was coming, but she brought him just for safety reasons and in case it didn't work out.
And she
There's
has
always some weird twist.
She has a real tragic backstory. Like she was raised in a cult essentially. And she lost her brother to like police violence. Like it's a whole tragic backstory.
Obviously, I would imagine every one of these people have a tragic backstory that leads them to 90 Day Fiance. Like there's just no way you're like complete. Like, has there ever been like, who's the most well-adjusted person we've ever seen on 90 Day Fiance?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. Like I'm thinking of past couples like Ben and Akini are pretty normal. I was going to say Libby and Andre, but I don't think so. Well, they're decent.
Well,
I mean, there's some
fine.
that have, and it's from the earlier seasons because you don't have the influence of social media really. So if you go back to those earlier seasons, you can find some diamonds in the rough.
Do you ever think about all the 90 Day Fiance that you people that you forget about? You're like, they're out there living somewhere.
There are so many that we forget about. I was thinking about this today because I was listening to something and thinking about Love After Lockup. And now Love After Lockup is going through the whole, there's 3 iterations of it. So there's rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. And there's so many people you forget.
I know they're real. I mean, and then you remember them. You'll have like a dark night of the soul, and all of a sudden they'll just pop up, and you'll be like, I forgot it. Like, who was the guy when I first started watching 90 Day Fiance? He lived with his mom. The mom gave him like her hair to take with him, and he brought like all the
Paul and Carini. Yeah, Paul.
Paul and Carini. Yes. What happened to Paul? Yep. Is Paul still alive?
They're living somewhere else, and they had a breakup. The police got involved. He was all over social media. It's dark. Don't even go down there.
Yeah, sometimes, but I'll just remember and I'll be like, no, don't go to the internet. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Yes. The other couple I wanted to talk about on the Before the 90 Days is the guy from what is he, Staten Island?
Joey, hey, I'm in a
Hey,
yeah.
Get married.
He's my family, yeah.
He's your face. So, and he is over. Where did he go? Germany? Where is he at?
Poland. He's in Warsaw. Yeah.
And who is this girl that he's there to potentially marry?
Well, it depends. If you're asking me, her name is Magda. But if you ask him, her name is Magna.
Magda.
Yeah, and the producer's like, "Why are you calling her Magna?" And he's like, "I don't know." Yeah.
So. He's over there. He comes from a real strong Italian background, and she's a beautiful volleyball player, but she wants to lock this down. She wants to lock this in right now.
Yep.
And we've had an awkward conversation where she had told her mom that he had slept with somebody before she came out. And so he didn't realize that. And the mom's there at this awkward lunch. And where do we think this couple's going to end up? Because I kind of want to see her in America.
Yeah. So this is an example of we could see them on 90 Day Fiance if he proposes, but I don't know if he's going to. I don't know. And, last week, I think I was saying on my pod, like, she doesn't even trust him enough to sleep with him, but she wants to marry him. So I can kind of see his point. Normally I side with the woman in this, but I see his point a little bit here.
But Amy, okay, so she's withholding sex because she just I get how this is why he should not marry her, but also he shouldn't have sex with her because to her, she has established that boundary that is an emotional thing for her and she's afraid of him leaving. So I mean, obviously that's a typical male thing to want to have sex with this person, but if he's not prepared, she's set those boundaries. So I'm scared that she is going to sleep with him and then he's immediately going to be to leave. And then I fear for that man's life because I think she will kill him.
Well, and this is a common trope on this show as well, because we had it with Brian and Ingrid, the man who was in the wheelchair. It's like a slow roll pressure campaign to get the woman to sleep with them. Like, that's why they go there. That's what they're interested in.
That guy just got weirder and weirder
he was
and weirder.
Trash, yeah.
And we're done with his story on Before the 90 Days, right? Yeah.
He's
better. That's the thing too, is that when you think about the sacred texts, these things, you realize these are real people and they are going to keep living after the cameras go down. And you just imagine how that works, like how that all works and how, like, what it takes to actually go on an app for somebody overseas in the first place. Like, what happens in here in America that it has broken their spirit and courage that much where they're like, gotta go overseas.
Well, and you hear a lot of the men, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but we've seen it a lot throughout the years, who are like, I wanted a submissive woman, so I had to look outside of America. And it's like, wow, that's a recipe for disaster immediately.
A submissive boy. Do you imagine, like, just like wait for AI to like create something? Like, you
join the manosphere. They'll help you find somebody.
Cody Brown will point you in the ways of so okay, so we're on holiday this week, so we didn't have Sister Wives. Sister Wives will be back next Sunday. But you said 90 Day The Last Resort, which you can catch up on Max. They, I believe, stream once it's aired on TLC. What else are you watching? What else, like this holiday week? What will you be binging? What you're doing? What do you got planned?
So we just did. Did you watch any of the Netflix holiday stuff? Because we did Hot Frosty. We did Our Little Secret, which is the Lindsay Lohan one. We did that with Kate Casey. That's going to drop on Christmas Day for us. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're covering those on Little Miss Recap as well.
Yeah. But I'll also kind of be in and out of them. I'm also watching Later Daters. Yeah, I'm really into that.
I've heard about this now so much. What is it?
It's a Michelle Obama produced show. It's on Netflix. There's 8 episodes. And it's really interesting because you have 6 singles they call silver singles. And a legit dating coach is walking them through how to date. And it's fun because, I loved The Golden Bachelor and The Golden Bachelorette because I loved to hear the rich history of the contestants. But I didn't love the bachelorness of it when they're all competing for the same person, right? So this is the perfect show if you don't like that kind of stuff. Like, these are people who have great stories. You get to know them, but there's no competition for the same person. They're all going on dates with other people and just learning how to date. And it's really fascinating. And it's funny. It's really
Is it heartbreaking? Because I felt like aspects of Golden Bachelor and Golden Bachelorette made me cry a lot.
I know, me too. No, it's not like that. Like, you do have widows and widowers, but it doesn't lean as heavy into that. It's kind of uplifting. It's people who are out there trying to
so 8 episodes, Later Daters. You recommend that, and you're covering that on your show as well.
Yep.
So you've got like a whole. How many shows do you release a week?
6 or 7.
That's perfect. And then what is the Patreon? Because you have a Patreon as well. What does that include?
Yeah. So on our Patreon, like I said, we do a real talk episode where we just chit chat about life. We do rewatches. We do classic documentaries. We do a lot of true crime. We do extended Sister Wives episodes, and just fun stuff like that. YouTube lives. We're doing Mad Men, the Mad Men rewatch.
What season are you up to?
We're just starting. It's going to roll out in January, so we're starting season 1, episode 1.
There's a great book I recommend called Difficult Men about all of the HBO anti-heroes, or HBO, but also so you had like Mad Men and how that was created, and The Writer's Room, and Breaking Bad, and Sopranos, and it's called Difficult Men. Came out about 7 years ago, but I really loved it, about like the anti-hero and about like how these, especially Matthew Weiner, of like what a genius this man is and what he created with Mad Men, and didn't go the obvious route, but Matthew Weiner came from The Sopranos. All these people like filter in and out of some of the best writing rooms known to man in terms of television. Truly love it. And then finally, I was listening to your episode today, and you guys were talking about like just getting the hell out of 2024. Hard year. Hard year. How do you? I always ask this of people as we like. How do you prepare for a new year personally? Are you a manifester? Are you a person that like, do you make goals? Like I always say I'm going to, and I don't. Do you put a lot of stock into any of that stuff?
So this year I'm on my own personal journey of sending my daughters to college. So it's like a very different year for me. It's going to be 2025 is going to be a very hard year for me. So I'm preparing by indulging in trash television that I love so much, going weekly to my therapy, which I always have. And then
Me too.
I joined the YMCA. I'm talking about this on my Patreon a lot. Like I joined the YMCA to just kind of force myself to get out of the house and be with other people. And I have found as a lady of a certain age that I really enjoy the hanging out with the old ladies, working out at the YMCA. So that's what I'm doing.
So you're I mean, I have a gym membership, but if I go, I am looking down and not at anybody. I have no conversation. I do not welcome conversation.
Well,
I get so
traditional
nervous.
gyms, yes, that's what I
But
do.
the YMCA, you're like, you like talk and stuff?
Yeah, you have to go at like 11 o'clock in the morning. You have to go in the women's only fitness room, and you're there with all your silver haired angels.
Okay, so Amy, I go to the women's fitness room and I just start talking after okay, I got it.
You may get arrested, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry, do you not listen to Little Miss Recap? She told me this is the place where people talk. By the way, that's your podcast. That's your next podcast. That's going to be a weekly episode.
There you
your
go.
YMCA.
Yes, I have been talking about it.
Okay, good. That sounds amazing.
I'm really struggling and I can barely lift 15 pounds. So we'll see. We'll see how the journey takes us. But it's all part of trying to get out more and reconnect with the world because I've been so siloed.
God. Yeah, podcasting, people talk about, it's very isolating, like
it
this.
Can be, yeah.
We're talking, and this I really love, but I'll do like solo stuff a lot, and it gets really isolating in like a little box. And you also just get really used to through the pandemic of not being out there in person, and you really, where you get really nervous going out. Like I have a lot of anxiety when I go to these things.
Me too.
And so it is great to like kind of train yourself to start doing things, and it really does help to be around people. That's what it's all about, right? So you guys, this has been fantastic. I hope you come back. Did you have a good time?
Oh my God, I had a great time. I'll come back anytime. Yeah.
Okay, good. The show, Little Miss Recap, once again, if we haven't sold you on this by now, I don't know what we did wrong, because I think
what's it going to take for me to get you into that podcast today?
Let's say it. We need to get you out of these shitty podcasts over here, and we need to get you in this nice Little Miss Recap. It's been going on 2 years. You got a lot of episodes it's all free for the most. Sure, you want to pitch in for Patreon, you can do that, but she's offering you free content for the most. All she wants is a little 5-star review. It's the holidays. What are you, a Grinch? What are you, a Scrooge? Amy Archer is her name, and also let's shout out your co-host on some of these episodes. Her name is
Amanda Lipnack-Radell. Love her. Couldn't do it without her.
And shout out to Maritza, who was like, you got to have Amy on. You got to have Amy on. She's the best. So thank you to Maritza, and you guys out there listening. Happy holidays from both of us, and I hope you are having the best conversations with your family and friends, and not potentially the worst conversations. And I hope you got everything that you wanted this holiday season. Okay, bye guys.
Bye. Thank you.